we're diving into the art of tanking and making space. Because let's be real, tanks are the backbone of any team that doesn't want to get steamrolled. We're covering key concepts and the why behind techniques and positioning. Regardless of rank and regardless of which role you play, there's value here that'll help you see the game in a way that is consistent with how high elo players and pros see the game. If you've ever wondered why your Venom dives end in a faceplant, or why your Doctor Strange barriers feel like tissue paper, this video is for you. Are you taking enough space? Are you taking too much space? When do you take space? How do you take space? We're breaking down 5 core concepts to make you a Vanguard legend, whether you're bullying backlines with Hulk or playing metal bending drama queen with Magneto. No fluff, just straight up tips to help you improve, inspired by me because I'm the greatest. I'm kidding. That was a joke. Let's just move on. We're covering questions I know you've had in game, like how to make space, how and when to appropriately distract, how to direct your team and the enemy team's actions, peeling, and last but certainly not least, how to use brute force to demand a response. Whether you're a main tank like Magneto soaking up projectiles occasionally, an off tank like Thor smacking faces with Mjolnir, or a dive tank like Venom yeeting yourself into the enemy's strategist, your job is to shape the fight. Think of yourself as the Hulk. You're not just smashing, you're strategically smashing. But here's the kicker. Most players don't get tanking. They think it's just take damage, don't die. That's like saying Spider-Man is just a guy who swings. Tanking is about why you position where you do, when you dive, and how you make the enemy team regret queuing up. Here's the 5 concepts that are gonna level up your game. Number 1, making space. You've heard it a million times, tanks make space. But what does that even mean? It's not just planting your big metal Magneto booty butt on a choke point and calling it a day. That's a passive approach. Anyone can do that. There's a place for that, but making space is about shoving yourself where the enemy doesn't want you and forcing them to deal with you. I'll first give you a verbal example of the gameplay we're watching, and then I'll break down a specific match after this. Imagine your team's on offense, pushing the payload, your Venom, the slimiest dive tank in Marvel Rivals. The enemy's got Luna Snow and Rocket Raccoon in the back, healing a Magneto and Emma Frost. The heroes don't matter so much, so don't get consumed by that. Just assume 2 standard team comps. If you just sit on the payload, you're a glorified speed bump, right? Instead, you've got to yeet Venom's tentacles into the back line, right onto Luna Snow, let's say. Suddenly, Luna's skating away and the enemy Rocket Raccoon's panicking. Emma Frost has no heals, the enemy Magneto has no heals. You physically moved the enemy team, creating a gap. That's space. Your Magneto can now move forward into what was previously enemy space. Your Hela can bring the heat from a higher ledge or an off angle, and your Rocket's tossing healing orbs like it's a barbecue. The enemy's scattered, their tidy formation's a mess, and your team's got room to breathe. Even if you don't kill Luna, you've disrupted their game plan. And when it comes to creating space, main tanks like Magneto can do what you do too. Throw your shield up, push forward, and watch the enemy DPS scatter like roaches when the lights turn on. Space isn't just a place, it's chaos you create. So this was the Marvel Rivals Invitational NA Finals. This was streamed on March 23rd, 2025. And you have Sentinels, who are on the defending side, and then you have FlyQuest, the team who's on the attack side. And we're going to be seeing the attack side. So you're going to be seeing red players. So that's like the quote unquote good team. That's the point of view that we're mostly going to be watching from. And I want you to keep note of what mostly Doctor Strange, especially in the beginning, is doing right here. I want you to see what this Doctor Strange does to demand and command the battlefield. He is demanding space from the enemy team. And you can see how he kind of leads his team along here. Once they get past this initial choke point, this is a common stopping point, especially in super high elo here, or pro competitive play in tournaments. But as you can see, that Wolverine just took that Groot clear across the map. I thought that was pretty funny. A nice introductory pick here. I'm not trying to do so much like casting style here, but I want you to keep in mind what Groot and Doctor Strange in particular are doing here. Notice how they're going a good bit in front. Now that they're starting to get more picks off the board, look how they're pressing all the way through this entire room, all the way up past this hallway choke point here. They pressed all the way forward to force the enemy team back here. And they do this again and again throughout the entirety of the match. They're not staying on the cart. They're not looking back and waiting for their team. They peel whenever it's appropriate and whenever that's warranted, but they are pressing forward and demanding space. So I'm going to go ahead and rewind this just a little bit here. So this is the part I want you guys to watch. They get a crucial pick here. They can see that the enemy team now, you can see they've lost momentum, and now is the time to press on the gas. This is the time when you press forward. You have your team with you. You have momentum, and because you have that right now, it's hard to do this in real time, I know, but just understand this is something that you want to try to mimic here, which is pressing forward, pushing them back. You keep pushing them, push them, push them, push them. Now you don't want to overextend, which is right around where they ended up ultimately pulling back from. They didn't want to overextend. Look, they got the point. It's time to regroup real quick and then press forward again. Move past the objective at that point. So every step that Doctor Strange takes here, moving forward, you're creating literal space for your team. This is what's meant by when you hear all the content creators talking about, yeah, create space. Yeah, I get the general premise of that. But when do I do that? And how do I do that exactly? It's difficult to do when your healers were just picked off, or you don't have any DPS left, or your dive tank was eliminated. Whatever the case, the conditions have to be right for that. And you'll learn that over time, but more or less, all things being equal or as close as they can to being equal, you want to create space by literally moving forward, and more importantly, claiming more space than you probably thought you needed to in order to force the enemy to claim that space back. So for example, if this Strange were to move forward all the way up to this corner here by this rock, you're creating so much more space for your team. Why would you give that space up for free at this point? That space is free and clear for you to claim, for you to walk up here. Otherwise, the enemy team could, they don't in this case, they could come up here and claim this corner. And I know this is a common sticking point in pretty much any rank, but if you're Doctor Strange and Groot in this scenario, you can walk right up here a good bit in front of the cart and claim that space for your team. As you can see here, this is ultimately what they end up doing. The enemy team, in this case, the blue team, they're forced to forfeit that space that you have now claimed by simply walking up to it. I want you to see what Doctor Strange and Groot end up doing. They're on the cart, and what do? They walk all the way through this choke point here. And what you should be constantly thinking of as a Vanguard is, how can I push? How can I create space? Can I push them more? Can I push? Can I push? Can I push? Can I push? Now again, you don't want to overextend. For example, I always like to exaggerate just to make a very clear point. So for example, if this Doctor Strange here, let's say that this Wolverine was out of the picture here, the enemy Wolverine wasn't here, this Doctor Strange could walk all the way up to this corner here, not like past this corner, past this little corner here, and go up to this corner, way up here. That's overextending at that point. Your team can't see you. Your strategist can't get you. They have to wait until this door comes down here for the next checkpoint, all of that. That's quite a bit too far. That would be in the overextension realm. But I would encourage you to press the envelope and find out, okay, how far is too far, and overextend on purpose just to find out how much you can get away with in every single match. Every single match is going to be different because the team dynamics are going to be different. Everyone's going to have different strengths and weaknesses. They might be playing different characters, even if it's someone with the same mindset. For example, this Wolverine player, he's going to have a totally different mindset if he were to be playing someone like a Mr. Fantastic or any other character on the board. The way that they go about playing and trying to stop your team is going to be significantly different. So always press the envelope, especially really early on in a match, and find out how much are they going to let me get away with here. Always do that. If you're already thinking, wow, this guy's spitting facts, as the kids say, consider subscribing. I make weekly videos including guides, rank breakdowns, and more. If we hit 3,000 subscribers, I promise to maybe keep making content. Back to the video. Number 2. High ROI distraction. ROI meaning return on investment in this case, and for anyone who may not know, it's a performance metric that measures the profitability and efficiency of an investment relative to its cost. And in the case of Marvel Rivals, was the time you invested doing an action or taking a flank route to dive, was the outcome worth that investment of cooldowns and time you sunk into doing that? This is where you become the enemy team's worst nightmare. Not because you're necessarily killing them, but because they can't stop staring at you. Let's stick with our previous team scenario. When Venom dives Luna Snow, who's looking where? Luna's focused on not becoming a symbiote snack. Rocket Raccoon's trying to heal her while dodging your tentacles, potentially. The enemy Frost is doing what she can, but her strategists are now too busy to keep her alive. The enemy Human Torch is either shooting you or trying to snipe off your rocket. The idea here is their attention's a mess. Meanwhile, your team's more or less locked in. Magneto is the one who has Emma Frost in a chokehold. Psylocke is picking off Torch, and your Invisible Woman has free reign to move forward with confidence. You've split the enemy's focus, which means less damage on your squishies. You want to think about it as a distribution of damage over time. That might sound a little bit more complex than what it really is, but if the enemy strategists aren't healing their tanks, and you have 2 or even 3 enemies focused on you, you've created a massive advantage for your team. Let's say you've pushed back 2 enemies as Venom. That's essentially 2 less enemies now. So your team is fighting 5 versus 4. Even if you're not diving, you're the shiny distraction that lets your Psylocke sneak in and shred a healer. If the enemy's attention is displaced, they are thinly distributing their damage. They're not going to be able to pick someone off quickly, whereas your team has a much higher probability of knocking someone out by simply not being as distracted. Keep everyone looking at you and your team's freed up to make plays. Concept 3, directing your team and the enemy team's actions. Now, directing, this is similar to distracting, but you're forcing an outcome here. This is about making the enemy sweat so hard they waste cooldowns or make dumb moves. We've all seen it before, we've all done it before. As a tank, you're not just a distraction, you're a threat. Take Magneto, for example. You push up with your shield, you're not just soaking damage, you're chipping away at their Thor, their Hawkeye with metal shards and posturing like you're about to ult or something. The enemy's panicking. Their rocket burns his ult thoroughly maybe, their Black Panther dashes away to avoid your wrath. That's pressure. You forced them to waste resources or reposition, giving your team an edge. Even if you don't land a kill, you've neutered their backline for a few seconds. Someone like Captain America can do this by diving and slapping Cloak and Dagger. They don't need to die, they just need to be too scared to heal their team. They're running away or they're trying to deal damage to you to get you to go away. And pro tip, track enemy ults with the kill feed and general pacing of the match. I know other guides mention this, but how often are you really trying to track ults? If their hell is close to her ultimate, pressure her to force it out early and then counter with your own. Pressure's what makes you a Vanguard. You're not just in the fight, you're dictating it. Concept 4, peeling. Peeling's next, and it's the tank's unsung hero move. Peeling, for those who may not know, is simply protecting or helping a teammate. Usually this would be someone vulnerable on your team, but it could be for anyone. And as a tank player, sometimes you're not leading the charge. You're saving your squishies from getting eaten. Let's watch top 500 player Jeremy peel for his team as Thor. Notice how he doesn't go for a fancy play here. He pushes Hulk off his team and he keeps the pressure up until Hulk lets off. Then what does he immediately do? He turns around. Oh my word. I don't care what role you play, please turn around more. And when I say more, I mean even just once during a match. Goodness gravy. But notice how he spots the enemy Human Torch? He isn't able to do much with him, but it doesn't matter. Jeremy shushes him out of the backline. Then he hyper focuses on Mr. Fantastic, who just beat up his Adam Warlock. Fantastic's out of the scene. Now it's Rocket's turn to get pushed. Get out of here, Trash Panda. That's peeling. Main tanks like Magneto can excel here too. Drop a bubble to shield your Luna Snow from a Black Panther windup. Any tank can peel by harassing the enemy DPS who's picking on your rocket. How do you know when to peel? Check the kill feed. If your healer's dying every fight, or you're tanking but not getting healed, something's up. Look for flankers and shut them down. And here's an underrated tip. Use the ping system to call out flankers. Ping that Psylocke, and your Emma Frost might turn around and blast her. Peeling's not sexy, but it's the difference between a team fight win and a respawn screen a lot of times. Plus, your Invisible Woman will love you. And who doesn't want an invisible friend? Concept 5, demanding a response. This is where you channel your inner Hulk and say, you know what? We're brawling. Demanding a response is about breaking a stalemate when the enemy is dug in like they're defending Wakanda's throne. Let's say you're on domination and the enemy's contesting the point with Thor and Captain America. You could wait around and let your team poke from afar, hoping for a lucky Star-Lord pick, but that's as reliable as waiting for Tony Stark to stop being sarcastic. Instead, as the Thing in this case, you charge in, slam into their team. You're not just diving, You're forcing a fight. The enemy has to react, blowing cooldowns or scattering, you name it. Your team follows, with Mantis's ability boosting you or your teammates' damage. The ability to force encounters is why tanks are vanguards. You lead, you disrupt, you make things messy. Just don't force things when your team's half dead. That's not a brawl, that's a funeral. Tank players mess this up all the time. They solo ult onto the point when their team isn't in the fight. They think because they're getting healed they can win, but imagine all of your DPS just got wiped. You need to keep tabs on your team. Doing so will guide you on how aggressive you can and should be. I'm gonna say this again, keep tabs on your team. Doing so will guide you on how aggressive you can be. Sure, you might be getting healed, but did you realize your other strategist is just now leaving spawn? So that means the only strategist in play at the moment is tied down healing you, meaning no one else on your team is getting healed. Is now the time to full send onto point? Maybe you should consider waiting an extra 9 seconds for your invisible woman to get back to you. I get this question all the time, and it's, when do I do the thing? When do I push? When do I make space? When do I... A lot of the times it's just, is your team in the fight? Do you have both of your strategists with you right now? Is your Hela up on the ledge ready to go? Are you waiting for someone to get back to your team? Wait those extra couple of seconds, and again, turn around, look at your team, scout at what's going on in that particular moment, and I promise you that will get you further in games. Whether you're slinging tentacles as Venom, shielding as Magneto, or smashing as Hulk, these concepts can carry you from bronze to eternity. Seriously, tanking's not about eating damage, it's about controlling the chaos. If this guide helped you, please consider subscribing. It's the easiest way to support the channel. Huge shout out to my supporters. You're the real vanguards keeping this channel going. Also, check out my most recent video where we break down the new best and worst heroes for season 2. Until next time.